Hello everyone and welcome to Tech Talk Now. Today we're going to talk about how to get started with Photoshop. So let's jump into it. Okay, so we're inside of Photoshop here. And the way to get access to this is you need to subscribe to Adobe Creative Cloud, which I highly recommend doing. It's a great program. It's about $29 a month, or you can pay annual or monthly. And if you're a student, you can get a discount. I believe it's $19.99 a month, something like that. But let's jump into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file here. So you can see here kind of it's showing the recent projects that I've been working on. So if you have projects open, it'll show here. If this is the first time using it, then obviously it's going to be blank. So let's click Create New. And I'm going to create a default Photoshop file. So it's 7 by 5 inches at 300 pixels per inch. Create that, and we're going to make it RGB. Now you can see here, and I'm just going to do a brief introduction here, but I'm going to go over the toolbars first. So over here on the left, you have all your basic tools. So you have the Move tool, and if I click inside of here, if I right click, then it will show the rectangle marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, the single row tool, single column tool. Same within the Move tool. If I right click, then I have Artboard tool and then the Move tool. Okay. If I go here, I'm on the Lasso tool, which is one of my favorites. And then the Magnetic Lasso tool and the Polygonal Lasso tool. Okay. So and this one is the Quick Selection tool and the Magic Wand. This is the Crop tool, Perspective Crop tool, Slice tool, Slice Select tool. A lot of S's there. This is the Frame tool, Eyedropper tool, 3D Material Eyedropper tool, Color Sampler tool, Ruler tool, Note tool, and 1, 2, 3 Count tool. This is the Spot Healing Brush tool, Patch tool, Content Aware Move tool, and Red Eye tool. This is your Brush tool, Pencil, Color Replacement tool, and Mixer Brush tool. This is the Clone Stamp tool and Pattern Stamp tool. This is the History Brush tool and the Art History Brush tool. This is the Eraser tool, the Background Eraser tool, and the Magic Eraser tool. And here we have the Gradient tool, the Paint Bucket tool, and the 3D Material Drop tool. This one is the Blur tool, Sharpen tool, and Smudge tool. This one's the Dodge tool, the Burn tool, and the Sponge tool. We got the Pen tool, the Freeform Pen tool, Curvature Pen tool, Add Anchor Point, Delete Anchor Point, Convert Point tool. And then here's the Text tool, which is one of my favorites. Horizontal Type Text, Vertical Type Mask tool, and Horizontal Type Mask tool. This is the Path Selection tool and then Direct Selection tool. Now this is an important one here. This is a vector rectangle. So let me make one of these real quick just so you can see what it does. Okay, so you see here, when I grab that, you see over here, if I double click there, I can change the colors, right? Okay, now if I were to do the same thing up here, it's going to be transparent because it doesn't fill. The reason why that is, and if you hit Control D to deselect, the reason why it doesn't fill is this is a raster graphic. This is a vector. So right now when I'm moving this around, if I hit Control T and make it bigger or smaller, it doesn't lose the quality because it's vector. Okay, so I'm going to delete that for right now. Now there are other vector tools in here, so you can do the round rectangle tool, the ellipse, the polygon, the line tool, and the custom shape. And I'll show you this real quick. They have, arrows, grass. What else do they have in here? So you see how they don't lose quality. Like I make it bigger, make it smaller. It's always there. It doesn't lose any quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all these. Okay, so we went over, and then the hand tool, and the rotate view tool, and then we have the magnifying glass, which will zoom in and out. So to zoom in and out, you can select up here. You can hit the plus, and you'll zoom in. To zoom out, you can hit that, or you can do the hotkey. So the hotkey is, you can hold Alt, and it will go in, let go, and it will go out, or you can set it to the plus sign and zoom in, and then hold Alt and zoom out. Okay, so that's really the toolbar here. Now they have, you can edit the toolbar, which means you can eliminate these tools if you don't need them. Show and you can edit the shortcut, which I highly recommend doing once you get comfortable. I use the V tool a lot in the marquee. I use the crop tool a lot, the brush tool, the paint bucket and the eraser. Those are ones that I use all the time, and the text tool also, and these too, the vector graphics. So it really depends on what you're building, on the tools that you're going to need. But like I say, you can set up a workspace, and you can make a new workspace, custom workspace for what you're doing, and they do a nice job of separating photography from painting to motion to graphic and web to 3D. So they already have it set up pretty well, but like I say, you're totally free to customize. Okay, so now let me show you this toolbar right here. So I'm going to show you kind of how this stuff works now. So I have the history here. Now, if you want to keep this open, you can. But what this does is it gives you a backlog of all the things that you've done. So we made a new document. We added the rectangle tool. We modified blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to go over here. So that basically cuts ahead from here and then goes to here, and it gives us this state of no layers. Now, if I went here, it's going to show all our layers, all 4 of them. Okay, now, one of the reasons you want to have this accessible, maybe not open, but if you make a mistake, let's say that you had this shape up and you deleted it on accident. You could come here and go back and redo whatever you need to do. There are other ways to do that as well. You can hit edit and undo, but this is really the easiest way when you're first learning to undo a mistake. So what you would do is, if we close this out and this wasn't open, you would go to Window and you'd click on History, and then you'd have access to all of it. So that's a valuable tool, and you can also minimize it and bring it out. Let me see if I can bring it out here. So I can bring it out here. And what you can do is you can pin it up against here and click there and drag down and then pin, and then it's right there. So if you need to access the history, it's right there, but it's also out of the way, so you don't lose all your real estate. So the next thing you have here is the color. So the colors are right here. So this is the foreground right here, and this is the background. So blue is the foreground, and white is the background. Now you don't really need this per se, because you can do it right here. So you have the same option right there. So we can close that out. The swatches, same deal. What you can do is, if you have, for example, if this color blue is there, it would be swatch 1. You can label that whatever you want, and you can customize your colors. And I recommend doing that for whatever projects you're doing. Customize it to what you need, okay? So I'm going to close this one out. And I'm going to close this one. Now we have the properties. So this will show you the width and the height of the document. Now, remember, it was 7 by 5 inches, but this is in pixels. So if I go here, if I right-click on the ruler, I can go to inches. And now it'll say 7 by 5 inches. If you're working in pixels, which I normally do, if you're doing print, you want to work in inches. Pixels, you want to work for video and web, really, RGB, which is what we're in. Then it's 2100 pixels by 1500. You don't really need that property per se, but if you want to keep it open, you're more than welcome to do so. So what I recommend doing is the same thing. You bring this here, and then you drag it over here, and then you have access to it when you need it. This you don't need. Now, here's an important, and let's get rid of this. Okay, and this too. So I'm going to explain what this is real quick. This is your library from Creative Cloud, which is fine, but I wouldn't have it open in Photoshop per se. There you go. So it's a little tight with only one monitor, and if you can do it, I recommend getting more than one, at least one or two more. Like have a total of 3 monitors or at least dual monitors, so that way you can put all the tools on one monitor and have your canvas on another, because it's really hard to work when you have everything in the same area. So anyway, this is the layers palette right here, and this is very important because this is where you have all your layers. So remember when we went to our history and I went here and we had all our layers right here. Well, here's the other thing you can do is you can make a folder. So let's say that you wanted to put vector graphics. Okay, and then I grab these. And if you hit the little eyeball, that will hide that layer. Or if you click on it and it's showing, it'll show it. So that's really just an introduction to Photoshop. But Photoshop is a great program, and I look forward to teaching you more about this down the road. And be sure to check out my website, 4J Media. Check us out on social media. Follow us on Facebook at 4J Media 1. Follow us on Twitter at 4J Media. Follow us on Instagram at 4J Media. And subscribe to our YouTube channel at 4J Media. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.